Hey everyone, GXVL here with a brand new Dragon Ball discussion, talking about the Dragon Ball superhero movie. That is right, I finally saw it. I know it took a while for me to get around this to finally discuss about it. I give you guys my own thoughts on the movie itself. So I'm definitely want to get straight ahead into talking about the movie. But before going into this, I'm gonna keep this very brief by mentioning my own old Dragon Ball Super anime review. I'm not too sure if you guys want to go check it out or not, because that video that I did a while back, we watched it time and time again to see how much it aged, and I'm like, yeah, it aged like soda, like Coke, you know, like it's kind of flat, but there might be some salvageable stuff in there that I might have said that still is a little bit relevant today or not anymore, especially if my own thoughts and opinions might have changed throughout that time period, and especially I was a little bit more hateful towards Dragon Ball Super, the anime for the most part. But nowadays, I'm just mostly disappointed, yet while trying to find any redeemable quality within the Dragon Ball Super anime realm. I will mention the Dragon Ball Super manga, but just to bring out some points later on in the video. So now, let's get this con out of the way, because it's one of my personal gripes of how Super has been messing around with Goku. Just that you know, I am a very big Goku fan. I relate to the character in terms of his personality, but there are some parts where, yeah, that is indeed Goku, but apparently this part is not Goku to me whatsoever, because you mean to tell me my own man forgot to know what meditation is? You gotta be kidding me here, right? Like, Goku has meditated a while back when he was very young, when training throughout his childhood days, especially in his adulthood days, right, in Dragon Ball Z. So yeah, I just find it very flabbergasted on how Goku is being written right here. So it shows it. So I just find that very dumb. And I see, like, I'm gonna have to use the Dragon Ball Super manga to help me in this case. Apparently people will defend that whole, just only some people. I'm not trying to generalize the fan base whatsoever. Apparently people call that character consistency when throwing a sense of being to an enemy. For me, I would say that, like, Goku actually learned that lesson, but apparently both either Toyotaro or Toriyama decided to put that in, and I'm like, really? You gotta be kidding me. And I actually have a very short video making me fun of that very sad situation right there. So character consistency, my butt, if Goku forgot how to meditate. All right, he was calling out Vegeta, saying that, like, where you just sitting there, man, you got to train your muscles. And I'm like, just good grief. But anyways, after that one, there's this other con, but I'm gonna excuse this con. Personally, for me, other people, I can see where they're coming from here. I'm not kidding. This one is actually pretty valid, but for me, I'm gonna excuse it. It's the whole story writing formula, where we see the characters when they're trying to get, like, some sort of spotlight, to their time to shine, right? Hey, one of the biggest examples is that, like, this is coming from, like, the anime, for the most part, seeing Trunks trying to have his own spotlight, of course trying to fight Zamasu, which leads him having a brand new transformation, but there was no explanation nor build-up nor narrative whatsoever. So in this case here, for Dragon Ball Super Hero, the movie, is that there is at least a narrative. I'm not kidding when I say that. There's a narrative here to have Gohan to push through to unlock his true potential. I know for a fact that, yes, they have retread this idea time and time again. Of course, we go back to the Dragon Ball Resurrection F saga, either in the saga or movie version, whichever one you prefer. I prefer the movie version because you don't get to see Gohan look like he got massacred like a freaking rag doll. All burnt up, because I keep seeing that screenshot and people keep on mentioning it when it comes to the Resurrection F saga. We can all agree that no matter the version, it's one of the most weakest and poorly written ones that Akira Toriyama has ever conceived, right? But with this here, at least looking at the storytelling here and with the formula, it's at least executed well here, and I hope that they at least this is just me being optimistic that they will stick with the landing here and to have gone to have his priorities straight, intact, and I'm gonna use Spider-Man to help me in this case here, like for him to be the Peter Parker Spider-Man of the Dragon Ball universe. Heck, regarding to music, I actually rewatched the Spider-Man movies, just mainly part 1 from the Sam Raimi trilogy and part 1 when it comes to the Amazing Spider-Man. And oh boy, does the music really does hit the notes when it comes to the Dragon Ball superhero movie. This is the first time you're not going to be getting like a opening theme song or an ending theme song, just like with the past previous Dragon Ball movies. This one is trying to go for something a little bit more different, and I find that really refreshing, the way I see it. But yeah, mentioning the whole story writing formula, again, it can be definitely a con that many people can agree with. For me, I'm gonna excuse it because at least it landed it well. It was executed well in this case for having a narrative, unlike with the whole Trunks versus Zamasu when he unlocked his transformation. So now, we now move forward talking about this whole charade that Akira Toriyama put out. Not gonna lie, this kind of reminds me of this whole Majin Buu saga levels of writing, because we all know how that turned out, right? Like, it's kind of like below average, but there's something about it that like you cannot help but you admire it. There were some places where it landed, other places not at all whatsoever, right? So what I'm seeing here, Akira Toriyama has put the charade of having both Piccolo and Pan to trying to trick Gohan. This is actually Piccolo's idea when he was trying to infiltrate the Red Ribbon Army base, right? So he took advantage of that and took Pan. But of course, we got to address this new side character that is Jeanette, which is Pan's teacher. He put, yeah, Akira Toriyama wrote that in to have these two characters. Not gonna lie, their dynamic is really great. I really love it. I hope to get to see this dynamic a little bit more. Same thing with the whole Goku and Pan, because I thought the whole End of Z Pan and Goku dynamic was handled well there. The GT one is very iffy when it comes to like being a grandfather and granddaughter. I thought it was still kind of sweet in some places, but of course it made Pan a little bit kind of annoying in some places. Hey, what can you do? So yes, this seems like very Akira Toriyama's levels of writing that it shows, but for me, I actually can't help but laugh along with it, then add it, and especially finding it kind of dumb. Of course, people will take an issue with it because, how would I put it like this? Oh yeah, that people will actually say that like, oh, it's trying to force some tension in here, but it's actually pretty simple, where to the point where like Piccolo is actually aware. Heck, I would actually argue to say Goku would actually be aware that like, yeah, we're gonna do something very risque, but we have no choice to have this boy who's now a man right now, who has to be one of the strongest protectors of Earth, just in case if anything else may have happened along the way. So yeah, for me, it actually personally works for me. It may not work for other people, but I can't help but actually like this myself. So it's kind of pro and a con. It's kind of iffy to explain, but I hope you guys get the gist of that. The other thing is that, like, of course, we have both Piccolo and Gohan as the two main protagonists, unlike with the whole Vegeta and Goku as the main protagonists, because we've seen them as the main protagonists throughout Dragon Ball Super in its entirety, not just the anime, but also the manga by the looks of it. And I'm like, yeah, it's time for other fighters, other warriors, other heroes to get some action, to have some spotlight. Heck, when was the last time you seen Gohan in action on his own when it comes to a movie? BoJack Unbound, obviously, right? But would you count like maybe Lord Slug when it comes to with Piccolo? Who knows? Maybe a little bit regard. I don't know. Like, you guys do that work too, because like it's kind of weird how Lord Slug turned out to be. I thought it was an okay movie. But anyways, yes, I really like this, especially lowering the stakes, trying to be a little bit self-contained with this. by having both Goku and Vegeta training back at Beerus' planet, but of course at one point they want to have a serious fight, which was taking a very long ass time that you'll be noticing that it's off screen. And also, of course, I want to address the like the elephant in the room, the 3D animation. I didn't think the 3D animation was all that bad, at least in my eyes. Of course, not too many people will be keen on it whatsoever. It's perfectly understandable. Heck, I seen Godzilla the anime Earth trilogy, and not gonna lie, the 3D animation in there is so stiff, and even Godzilla himself cannot even say like, oh god, it was not just the 3D animation, it was everything else that was wrong with it. So there's even like Berserk and even one of my own favorite anime, just like the 7 Deadly Sins. At certain points, you'll be seeing like 3D animation that looks very jarring, very so unneeded. So yeah, I don't know what's with Japan. They have video games where it looks so very charming when it comes to 3D animation. I actually replayed Super Dragon Ball Z and even TKT 2 and 3. Sorry guys, I don't have TKT 1 anymore. But hey, with their opening cinematic cutscenes, like I actually had this very idea when I was young, like, hey, how would a 3D animated movie will look like? So by specifically those 4 games, or 2, because it's a trilogy, right? The TKT trilogy. At this very point, I'm like, it'll be really kind of interesting to see a 3D animated movie. And oh boy, it's a childhood wish come true, seeing it right in front of me. They may not resemble these 2 games opening cinematic openings whatsoever, but man, I thought they did it very damn well. But of course, I will admit, I'm not gonna let my fanboyism get the best of me when I say that yes, there's gonna be some very iffy parts in terms of the 3D animations. I will mention a very specific point where you do see both one of the Gammas fighting against Gohan. It has to be Gamma 1, right? And using the camera angles here, it does look very slow paced. They look kind of stiff in a certain extent, but everything else looks very fine, at least to my knowledge. I may love 2D as much as the next guy, but also like a little bit of 3D animation. But of course, it may not land it whatsoever. I've actually rewatched freaking Transformers Beast Wars, and I still love that very show. I never knew the story was that good, despite the 3D animation for that has aged very poorly. But that's what got me interested. It's the story that got me very invested, and it pulls it off well here. Like, that's one of my biggest concerns, is the storytelling rather than the animation. Of course, animation will be like the #1 concern when it comes to like Dragon Ball or any other properties. I understand people's preferences and their gripes in any shape or form regarding animation, but I got to just address that. The other thing I do want to mention is the fact that, like, yes, we get to see the Dragon Balls being utilized. I have to say properly in this one. I'm not going to consider it as a con, because I will admit, yes, like the Dragon Balls themselves is kind of a con when it comes to like how they're being written throughout many years, many decades, on how they're being trying to be used, like the value of them. So I will admit, like, the Dragon Balls themselves have been very screwy and iffy many years on how both Akira Toriyama and even Toei Animation are trying to write them out, especially putting out some new ones. All right, but with this one here though, I do think it's a pro, because I have seen Masako X's What If Nappa turns good, right? So this has to do with Kami himself, not Piccolo, Kami himself, that he uses the Dragon Balls to regain his youth, and he asks the dragon to like to also like, hey, I want to become stronger every year. So seeing that here with Piccolo asking Dende to enhance the dragon with this magic water. I'm just gonna call it magic water because like I thought that was weird. I'm pretty sure we might have saw this at one point as well, using magic water to like have 3 wishes, but now you get to have the type of wishes to become more stronger. So yeah, we see Piccolo not only having just only 1 transformation, but 2. You get to see him power up where his skin looks a little bit more smoother, and his his color skin tone is green yellowish, not that much textures and that very green. It's now green yellowish, so that's typically his mystic ultimate form in comparison sake, right? And then he does eventually transform into the orange Piccolo. Like it or not, it really sticks the landing, and it makes sense, especially that like the Dragon Balls are orange, right? And look who is like the main protagonist throughout Dragon Ball. We have Goku wearing his orange gi for the most part, right? So I really don't mind it. At least he does get like a physical change where we do see a difference there. All right. And heck, now speaking of transformations though, I will mention, like, yeah, Gohan Beast, I cannot kid myself, it does look pretty silly and goofy looking. Heck, I even seen Jax Blade use number 4 coup, you know, like that Dragon Ball parody from the Kids Next Door. Yeah, having a very big hairdo up against the delightful children being Frieza. So yeah, it does look silly, but I for one personally like it though. Just for being both silly but trying to be badass at the same time. Something like that, I really admire it. And now also again back to these character dynamics. I already mentioned with Piccolo and Pan, but also I really like the Gammas and Hito. I like their chemistry there, and especially that like Hito himself. We now know that like he is the grandchild of Bomi, who is actually confirmed to be Android 21, right? Married to Dr. Gero, who has their son, that's Gero himself, modeled after to be Android 16. And we have Hito, who mostly just eats Oreos. I thought it was kind of pretty charming to see that for some reason, but I also it made me crave Oreos as well. Like, damn it, Garcia Dragon Ball superhero movie, you made me crave Oreos on that very day when I watched you. Like, damn it. I hope, let me know in the comment section if you guys also crave Oreos because of that. Okay, I cannot be the other one. Of course, like, Hito had this very cool imagination that like he wants to like create heroes or whatever, right? And then you get to see Beerus on how he's interacting with Chile and company. But of course, like he was surprised to see Broly on his planet, and then I think he now likes Chile a lot. He was trying to be like a gentleman towards her, and I kind of find that very sweet. Another side of Beerus that I like to see, instead of always like eating. Of course, you do get to see Beerus eating a lot in this, but you do get to see a lot more to him rather than just like destroying stuff, eating things, right? Not gonna lie, that's basically a combination of Vegeta and Goku. But now you get to see him to be a gentleman. Does it sound like a little bit like Yamcha, where like he was trying to be a gentleman to Bulma, even though that kind of failed, even though that relationship never went anywhere whatsoever? But oh well. And now this is where I'm gonna be fanboying. I love the kaiju battle. I really do, people. And you kind of convinced me otherwise. I love Cell Max, and just seeing him in action, I'm like, damn. Now this is the type of semi-perfect Cell done right, personally for me, because like I love Imperfect Cell, and I think Perfect Cell is badass. But the semi-perfect Cell though, I don't know. I'm not feeling it. But to have that recolored, give it some wings and change its tail piece and give it like Christmas colors. Ridiculous. It was even doing a freaking laser light show like with Shin Godzilla, like with the purple lasers. It was so cool. I really love it. I don't mind at all that it wasn't the Cell that people were hoping or expecting for. For me, I was thinking that this Cell is built from the ground up and just wants to destroy crap. This kaiju of a beast is way better than Bio Broly, because that one was trying to use some remains of Broly, trying to use, you know, like the Z Broly's blood, right? And that one was really weak, a really weak ass kaiju. You gotta be kidding me. Got blessed by a Kamehameha, and that's it. This one took a while to beat. They utilize the fat Gotenks. Yeah, you get to see Goten and Trunks older already. We needed that for a very long ass time, but when they fused, I was like, God dang it. Oh, but I was actually surprised and impressed that they actually used the fat Gotenks to try to like somehow beat down this Cell Max. I like seeing Android 18 just doing a little bit of action here and there. Of course, you saw some fan service that Bulma was using with the Dragon Balls. Of course, you gotta mention that. Imagine using that as a gateway to like bring in the Shadow Dragons for Dragon Ball Super in the future because of the misuse of the Dragon Balls. Possibly, could be, maybe, who knows? So yeah, I had a great time watching this movie, and depending how it went out, I gotta say, surprisingly, 7 Dragon Balls. Someone has granted my wish for this movie. I'm like, instead of hating Dragon Ball Super as a whole, I'm like, finally, redeemable qualities are right here, right in front of me. Despite some minor step backs here, and of course, reusing that formula that I mentioned, I just love this movie a lot. Heck, I think I love it way more than Dragon Ball Super Broly. I think that one is decent at best in terms of its storytelling. The action is splendid in there, don't get me wrong. But man, this one really pulled me in. But again, I do need to mention this. I am very skeptical on how they're going to use Gohan afterwards. Because if they're not going to stick the landing, then all of this will be completely meaningless. I cannot deny that. Alright? So yeah. That's all I had to say. Let me know in the comments below of what you guys honestly think. This has been JXBL signing off right now. Instant transmission out.